Okay, Dr. All, thanks for that amazing talk. All right, I have a question. So you've just fallen down this huge crevasse, 200 feet, and then you start a video camera and decide to video journal the experience. What was in your brain when you decided to document everything?
Well, that's the thing. I was out there originally collecting data. That was my data camera. And so I got to the bottom and I wanted my friends, and especially my family, my mom, to know where I was at, what I was going through. And a lot of people ask me, well, so is this one of those, if you die, you want to, the last one? No, it certainly wasn't. I couldn't allow myself to believe that I wouldn't make it. And so as a result, it was just to show people to document where I was at and show what I was experiencing. I've got some friends that bust my balls sometimes, and I wanted to make sure that they saw just how bad it was.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly created an incredible visual experience of what you went through. On a different vein, you mentioned at the beginning of the talk that you have your JD, your MBA, and your PhD. How did you come to get all of those degrees and decided that you needed all three career paths?
Well, I think like a lot of people, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm in college and I couldn't really find something I really loved. So I thought, well, I'll go to law school. While I was in law school, I was like, well, this is pretty simple, straightforward, and went ahead and did the business school as well. And none of that was getting me what I wanted. I wasn't seeing my dreams. I wasn't seeing the things I really wanted to do with my life. And so then I went and worked on my PhD, and that's when I really began to see, oh, you can integrate these things. I can study how to use law and use that to affect the environment positively. And so, yeah, I kept looking for a career path that I really liked.
That's awesome. I'm going to keep that in mind when I don't know what to do in a couple of years.
Exactly.
Do we have some questions from Twitter?
We do. The first is from Mutul Patel. He asks, how does it snow on the top of mountains or the peak if the clouds are below the peak?
Well, they're just below the peak when you can see. If they're on the peak, which they are a lot, I can't take pictures because I'm huddled down trying to hide. But no, you get clouds all the way up, unfortunately. But again, when they're up there, it's so much colder and more dangerous to be out that I don't ever get any good pictures.
Hunter Hawley says, what were you doing to prepare for your dreams in high school or college?
I think the key is I didn't know what my dreams were. I knew I liked Mount Everest. I knew I liked various things that seemed cool, but I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So my belief has always been just to get as many skills as possible. That's why I talked about learning. Again, I went to law school. I did business. I did a PhD in environmental science. Again, if you don't know what you want to do, learn something new. It gives you different paths. It opens new paths up for you. And so that's what I've always tried to do, is be as diverse as possible. In undergrad, I went to Duke, and hopefully we beat UK when we face you guys in the national championships in a couple weeks. But I took classes from a lot of different departments. I took philosophy, I took history, I took environmental science, I took a class on space weapons, I took a class on subliminal advertising. And because I figured the more I knew, the more I could see different paths for my life. So I just tried to be as diverse as possible. And that's what I always encourage people to do, is take different things, experience different things, learn yoga, learn basket weaving, learn things that you don't think are going to be important, because they will. You'll really be surprised when they pop up.
We've got a couple questions regarding, I guess, future travels. One asks, are you currently Katie asks, are you currently training to visit other peaks? And another one that we've had is Molly asking, what are your future climbing goals?
And one thing let me say is, again, the American Climber Science Program, it's open to y'all, students, people interested in getting into the mountains. I take people who've never been somewhere like that before but have dreamed of doing it. That's what we're trying to do. So in the next year or so, we are possibly going to be going to Puerto Rico, studying caves, mapping caves. We've done that before. We're definitely going to be going to Peru, to the Cordillera Blanca, and to Peru for Machu Picchu. So if you've never seen Machu Picchu before, we're going to be climbing some of those mountains. I've got a team, probably more difficult than you guys would want to attempt. I got a team going to Afghanistan and laying the groundwork so we can go back and do a transect through Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. We're talking about doing an expedition this winter in Hawaii. I just came from Hawaii, as well as Costa Rica. And then we, in addition to those, we're also got a bunch of data and partners in Africa. So we're going to try and go to Kilimanjaro probably not this coming summer, but the summer after. So a whole bunch of different places that we've been asked to gather data to help lead people to. So any kind of dream you've got of pursuing any of those sort of things in the tropical jungle, in the mountains, please talk to me and look at our website, climberscience.com.
We got another one from Iris Carson. He said, what were you thinking when you actually saw those people who were dead on the side of the mountain? Like, what did that actually go through as you're trying to get to your dream?
It felt like somebody had punched me. And I think that's when I learned to fear, because I hadn't ever had an accident before. I hadn't seen people die. And I'm exuberant. I've just reached the pinnacle. I'm almost to the summit. And that's where you don't start seeing people until you're at about 28,000 feet, so really, really close to the summit. And I just saw a bunch of bags laying there. I thought it was a sleeping bag. And I was like, oh, that's kind of smart. They put a sleeping bag there in case there's an emergency. And then I see that the sleeping bag has boots. And I realize it's not a sleeping bag, it's a down suit. And it felt like somebody had punched me. I suddenly realized just what I was doing and how dangerous it was. And it really made it difficult, but at the same time, it had been my dream, and I just wished I'd had some warning and had been better prepared. And that's what I've tried to share with you guys. It's, I've had, like I said in the intro video, people point guns at me. I've had tigers and elephants try and kill me. I've stepped on snakes and had bullet ants bite me. Bullet ants, the reason they call them bullet ants is because when they bite you, it feels like you've been shot. And so there's so many risks that you go through in life, but until you actually see somebody dead, you don't appreciate, that everything we do can lead to that. Car accidents, anything. So you got to live every day like it's your last day and really, really chase your dreams.
Samantha has a question. She says, how does one go about getting prepared for any form of climbing?
It's like you don't prepare for climbing, you just make yourself fit. And so things like running, lifting weights, swimming, yoga, and I do all these things, karate, anything you can think of that's going to make you a stronger person, because it's not how big are your lungs, how strong are your legs. A famous climber said it's how indestructible you are. It's how strong you are as a person physically, because you're going to meet so many different challenges. You've got to carry a backpack. You've got to breathe in thin air. You've got to sleep on the ground. You've got to eat bad food. So the stronger you are as a person. So people like, yoga, how is yoga preparing you? It's making me flexible. It's making me relaxed. So anything you can do that just makes you physically stronger and mentally stronger helps you prepare. So it's an easy answer. Anything you do is going to be contributing. Just do something.
This tweet comes from JDub53. After all the struggles and hardships, what is the overall feeling after you've completed those goals?
It's wonderful. It's the most incredible thing on earth, because you know that you've overcome a lot of things. You've had to fight, and you didn't think it was possible. And I always think that's the best kind of gift. If someone gives you a gift out of the blue, something you didn't really expect, and then it just seems all the better because it hasn't been anticipated. And in this case, you have anticipated it, but because it was harder than you believed that you could do, you weren't sure you could make it, it makes it feel so much better. And that's why I always encourage people, don't aim for the little goals because you think you can do them, you expect them. Aim for the big stuff, because when you achieve that, that's when you really feel euphoria.
Well, and the next question, or the next tweet kind of goes off that a little bit. And once you've achieved that goal, what's the next step?
And that's actually one of the most difficult questions. I remember reading a book about a guy whose dream was to walk from Tierra del Fuego, so in the southern tip of South America, all the way to the northern tip of North America, up in Alaska. And he did it. It took him like 3 or 4 years, and he was able to do it. And that was how he ended the book. He's like, I've done this dream that I've spent my entire life planning for. What do you do next? And in my case, it's you figure out what your next dream is. And I'm sort of lucky because I climbed Mount Everest, but then when I fell in the crevasse, it allowed me to re-examine some of my priorities. And one of the things I've been doing now is I recognize I want to help build things, and especially in the local community. So we've been working on doing community gardens here in Bowling Green. We're building a food forest in order for the community to see how different types of crops can integrate. We're trying to build a bouldering park and mountain biking trails and a whitewater park along the river in the Barron River Outdoor Center. So trying to build some of those things locally that make your house better. And you may say, well, that's not as lofty a dream as Mount Everest, and it's not as high, but it still is a dream to make the world a better place. And you know, that's a good dream in and of itself. And so that's what I'm really trying to do right now. And again, any of y'all who are interested in mountain biking and those sorts of things here in town, or building community gardens, we're working at Baker Arboretum, we're working at the Barron River Outdoor Center, just let us know, and we'd love to have you work with us.